wish I could get my head clear. I wish that I seen you spread fear. I see the patterns and I see the facts. I wish that all recognize that you're not a...
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam A.K. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We got a lot to go over today. In fact, in the last 24 hours, we've had some pretty big things erupt. Speaking of erupts, firestorm erupts over the provision requiring women to sign up for the military draft. Now, if you watch our show, you would know that I actually called this to the T. I even said that there'd be op-eds and that this would soon become an argument. It's been following news every single day, of course, covering it and giving kind of op-eds on every piece that comes out for 5-6 years now, every single day. You can start to see the patterns. And if you follow this show, then you're probably seeing the same patterns that I do as well. As far as the adding women in, we covered it within, I think 2 hours of the actual report being put out before anybody, even media, put out kind of a big deal about it. As we said, that there would be a big stink out of it once most people found out what was going on. They were quietly slipping in, adding women in after a part that did go through, a bill that requires and basically automatically puts every 18 to 26-year-old male on a registry for a draft. I believe it is because we have a massive war coming, we have recruitment shortfalls, and they are guaranteed not going to be able to hit their numbers for what they need. Now, as far as adding women to that, so then that combines with the bill that already puts in play. So if they do quietly add women in, which even the people that are fighting this, if they're able to say, oh, well, you can't add women, blah, 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 well, then that would break down some of the other arguments going on in our culture as far as equality and everything else. So this is something that I don't know if they're going to have a problem putting it through this time, especially with what's been going on. Of course, Senate Democrats have added language to the annual defense authorization bill to require women to register for the draft, prompting a backlash from Republicans and social conservatives and complicating the chances of moving the bill on the Senate floor before the day where we all pick our prez. Conservatives led by Senator Roger Wicker, of course, out of Mississippi, are certain to attempt to remove the provision requiring women to register for the draft, which could present a tough for Senator John Tester and Jackie Rosen and other Democrats in tight re-election races. So you've got all of this. You've got they're saying that it's the right side against this. I have heard plenty of people come out about this that are not on the right. They're not on the left or the right. Again, I've seen independents and libertarians against this. Essentially, this is one of those kind of subjects where it's like you want one thing this way, but when it comes to something else, it doesn't work like that. But we'll see. This may actually go through. So if you have daughters or kids in general from 18 to 26 years old, you may want to pay attention because we are heading into a crazy, crazy time where it's most likely going to start a World War III scenario, not an end of the world scenario, but a huge, massive war. And pretty much from all of the recruitment numbers and from how many people are serving, it is most definitely going to require a draft in almost all of the major countries if we get into a major war. So you might want to pay attention to if this passes or not, or if this goes all through. So we're going to talk about this and much, much more on tonight's show. So stick around. Be right back. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right. So, I mean, like, this is exactly what we called. We knew that there would be, everybody, once they caught a whiff of this, everybody is now covering it. We covered this, like, I don't know, almost a week ago, because we watched these releases. And that's why, if you do watch our show and you caught those shows, in fact, 2 days in a row we talked about this, then you know. This is why it's really important to pay attention to all of the press releases, to all of the different speeches and different conferences they hold. Again, we don't expect you to, and that's why it's our job to make sure we're following all of that. And the things that we miss are usually filled in by the Foogle fam and the Mafia, sending us, of course, all of these things. So you guys are an extreme part of the show. Without the people like you sending us anything that we may miss, you end up getting filled in on all of it. If it's important, then make sure to subscribe here because you'll get notifications on all of this. Not to mention, the second that we find out what happens with this, we will end up letting you know. Now, I already have talked to some of you that have daughters in this age range. Now, I do want to read a part. This is from Sam Brown, an Army combat veteran who was severely burned by an IED or an improvised explosive device and slammed Rosen, one of the people that are going for this, in a video for, of course, choosing to put a vote in to require women to sign up for the draft. It says, quote, "Look at my face. This is the high cost of war," he posted. And, of course, it says, "Amy and I volunteered to serve. We honor all who serve," he wrote. "But forcing America's daughters to register for the draft is unacceptable. Shame on Jackie Rosen." Now, showing the scar on his face, basically saying this could be your daughter. That's the message there. But others are saying, well, if we want, true equality, then what's the difference if it's a man or a woman? Of course, the arguments, around that right now, it's a little harder to get by if you're saying that everything is the same, but when it's really, really not. Again, lots and lots of kind of debate around this. Of course, everybody is divided. It doesn't matter. They always make it a left versus a right. But I guarantee you there's people all over the place. There could be somebody who is, this person's assistant and probably, or the person about to take their job in the Democrat Party. If they have an 18 to 26-year-old daughter, they're probably saying out loud, yeah, I totally believe in that, but secretly going behind closed doors and saying, we got to cancel this thing. What is everybody doing? What the hell is going on? So, again, what do you guys think about it? Do you think that women should have to register for a draft, or does it depend on the situation? If we're going up towards a World War III scenario, basically everybody might have to grab a weapon, right? I mean, like, if this is something that would get really, really bad, then all hands on deck, right? So tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Do you believe that that young women should be drafted just the same as men? And do you believe there will be a draft? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, remember everything here. If you're wondering, like, if you're new here and you're like, where's the source on all of this? Make sure to go over to the website. You can find every single episode has a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. You just got to look for this thumbnail and then on marfooglenews.com, and it will bring you to this page. Will women be drafted? The Backlash is here. And of course, it has a full list of every single source for every single document that we've shown you here today. Of course, when we do shows, it's all archived. You can go up to the upper right-hand corner. So if there's a document we talk about, or like an NERC report or something like that, NDAA, most of the times we link that to that show so you can actually type in keywords and then find that show, thus finding the source for that show and that document. So we provide that for you guys. Go utilize it. If you are a creator yourself, use it for your videos. Again, you can get all sorts of great stuff from the past there. All right, and then let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fan. I'm doing just fine.
Now, remember on the right side, all of those are the affiliates. Those are basically the products that we believe will serve you better. On that right, when you go and purchase those, that ends up helping us with the commission and giving you a discount. But just to let you guys know, of course, every single one of those on the side of the page are things that we believe will either save your life, help you through a disaster, or straight up, get you home or get you out. So go check those out. Make sure, again, to check out any of those on the right. All right, and then Dex, before we move on from the draft, so, I mean, everybody knew this was going to be talked about. But once everybody got a whiff of it, now everybody is up in arms about it.
Yeah, certainly. So look, here's one thought I had about it, and is this set up for the big distraction of the NDAA? So get everybody up in arms over women and let that look like it's the contentious issue. But then what we have to pay attention to is what else sneaks in. Obviously, the auto registration sounds like it's going in. And if that goes in, is that something we want? And then what else might be there that might come in when they come back and say, oh, okay, well, now we can just, we won't put women in, everybody's fine. And then everybody doesn't look anymore. Like, okay, well, it's good. They backed off of that. But what did they sneak in there? What else came through? And I think that's part of it. This could be one of those big smoke screens, so to speak, right?
Yeah, and this has been attempted multiple times before. It would almost be not fun, but it would almost be interesting to look back at the previous times they've put this in the NDAA and then see what that year, what was the big thing that was controversial about that year. But last time they didn't really have a big, hubbub about this. There was backlash every time they've tried to do anything close to this. And as time goes on, if they continue in the world governments to basically say that there is no difference whatsoever, and basically you can choose on the day what you are, then how in the world would they actually require one person to do this and not the other? Especially if it's based on something that there is this debate about. That in their eyes is you can be what you want to be. You can be all you can be, right? So, yeah. By the way, that reminds me of, I just watched, haven't watched in a long time. I watched it when it came out, but Men Who Stare at Goats. In that movie, and I don't know if this is true, but they said that Be All You Can Be was actually from some of the, and I don't know if that, because I found that some of that was like based on some true stuff or something, but we know that the government actually experimented on weird stuff like remote viewing and all of that. But they said that Be All You Can Be was from that unit or whatever, and it was from, hippies. Was that totally a fictional movie? I didn't get a chance to look at that up afterwards. But I wonder if the Be All You Can Be was from them basically saying that they had this unit that was going to win wars with peace, right? Men Who Stare at Goats. That was actually a good movie, lots of good people in it before all of the changes to our culture happened. All right, and then let's move over to the map. Russia and Vietnam agree to strengthen ties during Putin's state visit. Now, have you guys seen some of the videos that have come out from the Putin and Kim Jong-un visit? I'll head over to the chat here, but if you haven't caught it, over the last 24 hours, there's been so many videos of Kim Jong-un and Putin basically having a great time. There's one video that's gone super viral, which shows Putin driving and then Kim Jong-un driving, and I don't know what they're driving. You keep seeing these clips of them having fun. They're smiling, they're laughing, and they're driving. And at this point, we don't know it's like made by AI, but you assume it's a real video of their visit and they were having fun and they were driving possibly some sort of sports car or something. I don't know what the whole deal with that was, but you also see a video that came out, and I don't know if it's edited and looped or something, but it's them saying bye at the airport, and Putin's waving out the window, and Kim Jong-un and all of his like top men are waving, and they just keep waving back and forth. I mean, like I was thinking, if this is real, that is insane. Like these guys are like BFFs now, like Rodman BFFs. So if you haven't seen those videos, I said it's terrifying, because if any of that is true, even if it's looped and that was their embraceful, bye, it's really creepy. Dex, did you see that the videos of that, by the way? I don't know if you saw it on my Twitter, but
No, I didn't see it, but I did see I heard about all the pomp and circumstance where they had all the people out with colors on, and they had everybody chanting "We love Putin" and stuff like that. Yeah, they did it up time.
Yeah, so it makes perfect sense that, of course, now Russia and Vietnam agree to strengthen ties as well. We've got Vietnam. President says two countries want to push up defense and security cooperation as U.S. criticizes meeting. Now, I talked about this yesterday. If you look at the map, so Vietnam, of course, being over here, which if you're in the U.S., then you know U.S. has a history with Vietnam, and it didn't end too well as far as what happened over there. It didn't end well for anybody. But Vietnam is, of course, on this side. And I was talking about how it's almost like a wall, right? Because we're siding with Philippines, we're siding with Taiwan, we're siding with Japan, which is this big line, and we're siding with South Korea against North Korea, against China, against Russia, and, of course, Vietnam. I can't remember about Cambodia. But of course, it's like all of these countries are all kind of going to be on the opposite side of all of this. So Vietnam are now basically agreeing, and they're doing all of these pacts. Why do you think that they're doing all of these pacts right now? Everybody is putting it in writing who they're going to back up during a war. I think it's really clear we are on the precipice of a major war. Most of you guys are now in the same boat. And even those, and I got some emails over the last couple of days, which I was pretty amazed by, that folks that have been skeptical and have thought that there would be no war in the last month said that they have their minds have been changed, not by me, but by things that have basically been going on in their own life. One person even said that they're in logistics. They said that there is massive movements of different weapons around, and now they're being hired and other companies are being subcontracted to move stuff all over the country. So something big is going on right now. And I really wish that there was more being told to regular people, because I think that it's not going to help. You know, they say everything is classified and all this stuff for us to be safe, and so the bad guys don't know. But at this point, all of the bad guys probably know before any civilians, right? They try to keep state secrets, but it's like we'll talk about here in a second with China doing hacking contests to try to find good people to hack America. It's like with this kind of stuff going on, it's like we're the last people who know. It's no longer loose lips sink ships anymore. It's more like loose lips help people. I don't know. That's what it seems like. But again, Russia and Vietnam have pledged to strengthen ties as Vlad made a state visit to Hanoi that was intended to signal his country still has allies in the region. The Russian president arrived at Hanoi airport in the early hours of Thursday and was met on the red carpet by the Vietnamese Deputy Prime Minister Tran Hong Hoa at the top party diplomat Lee Hung Trung. It says he arrived from a high-profile visit to North Korea, where he signed a defense pact with Kim Jong-un that included a clause requiring the countries to come to each other's aid. They're straight up making all of the pacts. The allies, the Western allies, have been doing this. NATO has been formed, of course, not formed, but expanded. Now you have, of course, other countries that have now joined. You, of course, have the Asian NATO, or the trilateral alliance thing that's going on with, of course, Japan and South Korea and Taiwan. I believe Taiwan is the third, right? So you have all of these different alliances that are getting put up, and then you have even countries that you wouldn't think would be involved are picking sides. Niger is a great example, like how literally Niger was connected with the USA. There were senators and congressmen that had questions. They're like, hey, Niger, we think that they might be talking to Russia or something. Almost immediately, not only does Niger kick the U.S. out, say, hey, U.S. soldiers, you got to get out of Niger, they invite Russia in before the U.S. soldiers have left. At one point, in one warehouse barracks building, you have U.S. soldiers, and in the next one over, before they're able to even leave, you have Russian soldiers in the building next door. So right here, it's very clear that all of these countries are picking a side. And unfortunately, if you're in any of the Western countries, all of these countries are becoming extremely organized, and they're putting it in writing. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments down below. It's I think at this point it's what it is right now. Let's go over to the chat and let's say hi. Paul Saul, Hogs of War. And I'm telling you, I think that there's a good percentage of people that will not think it's going to be a war until some people will only take a huge, massive event before they believe we're in World War III. But we're already in it. Let's see here. Very, very bad. Bailey Branchow, nice to see you. We've got Trevor STL79. We've got Bible Talk 777, just in case. Hey, nice to see you. Let's see here. Preppermint, I made it tonight. Hey, Preppermint, nice to see you. Rashid, blocks are being made. That's right. Excuse me, guys. Tammy, Linda Vandenberg. We have Genius by birth. Hey, Genius, nice to see you. Marshmallow, Conscious Objector, PVD DOS. What was the rest of that? I'm curious because a lot of the people talking about, I wonder if it's going to be different for women, if they're going to have to put clauses in for, say, if you're pregnant or other things. Like, you'd think it's not just so cut and dry, right? And then Briar Nordyke, hello, from, I didn't see the rest. Luna Tides the Moon, halo. Danny Skylark, we've got Michael 2024. Jason M. Schmidt says, this is it. Mosqueda, I'm here. What's happening? Stephanie Colonius. We have 100 million billion, 1,000 million billion. What is happening? Truth Iris, Daniel Deloche. We have Paul Saul and everyone that made it tonight. Thank you so much. By the way, make sure to thank your mods over at marfugglenews.com/friends. You can find all of them right there at marfugglenews.com/friends. Everybody from, of course, Bones to Wages World. Again, a lot of great people. By the way, if you're interested in becoming a mod, send us an email or, again, send me a DM on Twitter would be even better. We might need some more because we might be opening up another chat. So, again, make sure to contact us. All right. And let's see here. Dex, China targets U.S. with hacking contests. So they're straight up doing hacking contests to look for people to hack us.
Yeah, so China spy agencies are using talent competitions to recruit young hackers for cyber attacks on the U.S. So the revelation comes in a new report that has shed fresh light on the secretive state of the, quote, hack for hire program, which the authors say was unlike anything we've ever seen. Cyber experts have called on the government and big business to do more in the wake of the report. So look, running a contest to recruit your spies, to recruit your hackers, and hack for hire, and doing it publicly, that's pretty outlandish. So, but Chinese, it says here, Beijing has banned homegrown talent from competing in international hacking, in which contestants compete to exploit vulnerabilities in widely used software for cash prizes, and created its own events, the report said. So if you guys don't understand, a lot of the companies out there will pay you if you can find a vulnerability. So you can actually get rewarded for hacking. It's called ethical hacking. You're trying to find vulnerabilities. When you find one, if you submit it and it is valid and you're the first one that does it, a lot of times you can get paid for it. Well, Beijing doesn't allow that. They ban it. But instead, they have now created its own events, the report said. So these Chinese hackers are now forced to compete in government-sanctioned domestic events, giving spy agencies a pipeline of knowledge and manpower that can be exploited for use against the U.S. and its allies. Now think about that. Instead of letting them find a hack in Microsoft and tell Microsoft about it and get paid, $20,000, $100,000, depending on how significant it is, whatever the price tag might have been for that information. Instead, they just give it to their government and they get rewarded there, and Microsoft never knows about it. Only China does. And now they continue to pile on and amass a series of vulnerabilities around the world. So the way the industry is supposed to work is it's supposed to help everybody fix all their problems. But in this case, they're finding them, but just not telling anybody, keeping it to themselves.
And so wouldn't you think that this would be some sort of crime? And are they literally asking hackers all over to hack different places around the world in real time and actually do it, but then come back to them with the info? I mean, is that straight up?
In their own country, yes. They're not asking hackers outside of their country all over, but
See,
inside China, yes.
Okay, so I just wonder if that's really what's going on, or if the after they do one hack of a company there, I mean, obviously that's the whole goal. They're going to find people that can get into some of their toughest targets, or they're preparing for USA hackers to do it. So they're hardening their own systems, and of course at the same time, they're, most known for hacking us. Now, somebody in the chat.
Yeah, but their talent and what they're paying for is for them to hack outside of the country, not their own systems. They want them to find vulnerabilities in America. They want them to find vulnerabilities in other systems outside, and that's what they're paying for. Because there is money to be made in that. There's a whole lot of people that go around trying to penetrate systems in exchange for pay. And instead of them getting paid, they're getting paid from the government, and they're giving the secrets to the government and not telling the company or the other government that they hacked.
Okay, now I'm curious. Somebody in the chat says China is not our enemy. I would love to hear you, and I want to see from your point of view. Again, they are literally our adversary. They're literally our enemy. So I don't see. I would love to hear your perspective on it. Send me an email. I would love to hear your view on it. I'm totally open-minded. I don't think that people should get on each other's case if they believe something different. But I don't see how that could be true. I have seen enough, at least, and I don't believe everything I read. But over years and years, and talking to real people, real military that have said that they've been on the opposite ends of these things, how so? Are you saying that they're inherently good and that they're trying to help the planet? I don't think communism is a good thing. I think that way of life is actually my enemy. No, regardless of how I've had tons of people come in here and they say they're Americans that live there, and they say, oh, it's great, and there's so much bad information about it, and I'm like, okay, but are you allowed to do this, and that, and are you required to do this, and this, and that, and are you watched on this, and this, and that, and if you do this, and this, and that, are you judged for it? Okay, then I don't see the argument. Maybe they allow you to have a good life, but if you go against the wrong person, then you're done and everything is gone. Heck, they have one of their celebrities that does like sales. It's like a HSN, home shopping network. That woman who was a multi-millionaire, I think she was in the billions. They decided that she was an enemy of the state. They just basically deleted all of her money. Like that's crazy. You would think like put her in jail, do this, do that. But nope, they were just basically like, nope, we're going to take all that back. But I don't know. I would love for somebody to change my mind and open my eyes to some crazy, other angle that I'm missing. Because I'm open-minded about everything. I'm open-minded, as open-minded as somebody possibly could be. All right, and then thank you over on DLive. Hey, Kimbria. Hey, Shugs. Nice to see you. But I also wonder, because they do have 1 million people on a digital army, like, are people from that army saying things like that? I don't know. Speaking of which, if you haven't checked out EMP Shield, make sure to go over and check these devices out. This is a device that can be put in your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, and protect you against not only an electromagnetic pulse attack from anybody, whether it be Iran or Russia or China or anybody else. This will be able to ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before frying your device. It can also protect you against a Carrington-level event from the sun. So regardless if we never have a EMP, at some point we will have a Carrington-level event hit the Earth. Now, in our lifetimes, this hasn't happened, but they say we are already overdue. And we're in solar cycle 25, so this is something that's very well could save your life. It could get you home to bug in, or it could get you out to bug out. As far as the company, you can go check out the EMP Resilience Report by the Department of Homeland Security. They actually listed them, one of few companies, that they're actually utilizing. And of course, they have done contracts with agencies like DHS, DOD, and now, of course, the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. It's super easy to put in your vehicles. It is relatively easy to put in your house. If you're allowed to do it without an electrician, you'll have to go check your local state laws. But again, this thing is incredibly easy to put in your car, and that way you're going to be able to travel. I mean, to be able to use your car after multiple EMP strikes or a Carrington level event from the sun, or to be able to use your generator after the same thing, then, I mean, it's something that you won't need until you need it. And of course, it could save your life. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. Obviously, it's a crazy time right now, so it would make a lot of sense. It helps us out. You get $50 off per device, which is huge, especially if you have to outfit multiple cars. All right. And then, Dex, let's talk about South Korea will consider supplying arms to Ukraine after Russia and North Korea sign a strategic pact.
Well, no surprise here. I mean, look, we just saw a massive upgrade in relations with Putin and Kim, that South has to do something. Now, one of the things they haven't done is they haven't actually supported much in UKR. They've sort of taken a back seat and not really been very active in that. So, but now they're saying, hey, we're going to consider supplying arms. And it's kind of interesting because the North allegedly, or actually it's been proven now, I think, has been supplying arms to this region. So if the South does the same thing, then I guess they're both going to use UKR as their proxy for their weapons and equipment. So it's kind of odd that they would take the weapons that they need against each other, ship them all the way halfway around the world, and let them be used in Ukraine against each other. So, but that's what they're talking about. And here's the thing: this is not just the South Korea that's saying this. We're going to be talking a little bit more as we move through the show. Everything is ramping up. It's ramping up big time. So when you think about, as we progress through here and we talk about the other things that are going on with against Russia, it's pretty significant. So, but South Korea did say Thursday that it would consider sending arms to UKR, a major policy change that was suggested after Russia and North Korea rattled the region by signing the pact. So it came from the senior presidential office, and it came hours after the state media released the details of that agreement. So it was sort of a retaliation statement. We don't know specifically like what arms they're going to send, but they've had a history of not sending any. So now they're going to get in the business of it. So we'll probably see in the coming days what they're willing to ship.
And I think North Korea, as you guys know, I think North Korea is going to be the first big event. I think that's what's going to pop off first. And it's going to be a domino effect between all of the adversaries. They're all working closely together. They're all putting it in writing. They're all going to team up on this. This is what a world war looks like. That's again what I think is about to go down. And then NATO member Romania is to send a Patriot missile system to neighboring Ukraine. What did we just cover in the last 2 days with Romania, Dex? Do you remember the story we just covered about Romania? I feel like this has some relevance here. It was, the tanks. Wasn't it tanks that they ordered from South Korea? Do you see what I'm saying? It's like a chain.
Yeah, no, howitzers or something from South Korea, yeah.
Howitzers. Romania from South Korea. So South Korea is selling their tanks, howitzers, to Romania, or is it backwards? No, I think it is. So
no, it's to Romania.
It's to Romania. So do you see what I mean? Now South Korea is also going to be helping Ukraine, or they say that they're now open to this, right? And just yesterday or the day before, we covered that South Korea is going to be connected with Romania if they do this big business deal. First of all, that also shows that Romania is not only asking for, they're buying howitzer tanks. They've already dug trenches in their country. They've set up Dragon's Teeth. They've set up all these things. Now they are actually going to be sending one of their Patriot missile systems to Ukraine. Everybody is like connected. Everybody is doing these deals. This is massive, massive amounts of money. And if they send the Patriot missile system, what are they going to get out of it? Does this have anything to do with South Korea? I wonder, like, South Korea is not a part of NATO. So what are they going to get in return if they send a Patriot missile system to Ukraine? Is it just, send it there because it's going to protect them in a way? Or are they getting something out of it? Dex, have we almost every single time that a NATO country sends one of their things to Ukraine, usually they get something in return, or they end up buying at discount or buying a huge system themselves. Like, I wonder what's going to happen with this.
Yeah, there's something usually done in return, but this is, look, this is their system and it's for their protection. And if they're willing to give it up, that means they think that the line needs to be moved closer, the protection line. That's one way to look at it. Oh, and at the same time, they may be doing this in hopes that they're getting something in return, like a couple of more. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, because I think we're talking about a lot of activity going on right now. From funding, we talked last week about all the funding that NATO had raised, all the funding that came from other countries. We've talked about the F-16s that have rolled in now. We talked about the expansion of use of force across the lines with Western weapons. We've seen that happen. Now we're seeing more and more equipment rolling in. Here we have Patriots going in. We have Romania stocking up on howitzers. We've got lots of activity ramping up all at once.
Yeah, and I think you said closer, but it's almost like they want to move the line further out. Like they're worried, where is Russia in Ukraine? Are they trying to actually do this because they're worried about how close Russia is getting, or how is it actually going? Because obviously there's a lot of kind of, I guess, contradictory stuff about how much land Russia has taken. They say that Russia's doing pretty well right now as far as most people are concerned. So I just wonder where this is going to go. Are they going to do some sort of blitz and sweep right into Ukraine, right onto Romania's border? Is that why they're doing it? Or are they doing it to push that line further out so they might buy them time or something? I don't know. And then we have the U.S. will redirect air defense interceptor missiles to Ukraine that other allies had on order. So if you haven't noticed a pattern here, there is a ton going into Ukraine right now. Besides NATO soldiers and U.S. soldiers and whoever else, they're sending in from all of these different countries. Everybody is sending stuff to Ukraine. So I wonder if there's like a big push that's about to come, or if something massive is about to come. This is all on kind of the back end of Putin meeting with North Korea. Is North Korea going to join the fight? Is North Korea going to start sending in soldiers to fight with Russia? Like that would almost make how much fun they were having together make sense. Like they're now BFFs. Like, our guys are going to die with your guys kind of thing. But yeah, so this is kind of crazy because we had them on order, but I don't even think they're going to get there. The White House announced Thursday that it will rush delivery of air defense interceptor missiles to Ukraine by redirecting planned shipments to other allied nations as Washington scrambles to counter increased Russian attacks on Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Now, remember, they said they were going to go after everything in Ukraine power-related, and that was in response to the radars being hit and everything else. They said, well, we're going to take everything out. If this is more confirmation that they are taking seriously the comments by Russia, and all of this is in response to Russia basically pumping it up, Russia has said, we're going to go in, we're going to annihilate now. You guys started hitting our early warning systems. You guys started hitting our airfields. You hit our naval ships, our big naval ships. You crossed every red line we have. We're possibly going to be changing decrees. So now this seems like it's more confirmation that this is actually going really bad if they are sending this stuff in. This is one of the quotes. Right now, we know that Ukraine urgently needs these additional capabilities. So instead of going to our allies like normal, these were purchased on order. now they're basically grabbing them from in between logistically and sending them over to Ukraine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's something doesn't sit right with all of this movement. And this makes sense. This is what you guys in the Fugel fam have been saying. There's stuff moving all over the place. Logistics companies are moving stuff all over. And it's like, where is it all heading? And then, Dex, do you want to go over Mark Rutte is set to be the next NATO chief?
Certainly. So the Dutch Prime Minister, Mark Rutte, is to be named the next Secretary General of NATO. This is after the last remaining holdout, Romania, all countries, there's their name again, agreed to back his candidacy. So the Romanian person was in the running, but then decided to back down. Romanian President Klaus Iohannis had also put himself forward to be Secretary General, the senior official that coordinates the Brussels-based organization. But his government has now offered to support Rutte, according to the official press release. So that basically means there's no more opposition, or there's no more multiple people willing to run, and they have to make a decision. He is the one, so he will be appointed. His appointment was confirmed just ahead of the summit, due to be held in D.C. on the 9th to 11th, marking the 75th alliance. So he is going to be the replacement for Jens. We talk about Jens all the time, so get used to this name, Mark Rutte from Dutchland.
Yeah, so this is what a weird picture. It's like, did they take it through somebody's crotch? That's through somebody's zipper or something. I don't know. Sorry about that. Let me plug this in here. Sorry. So that's Mark Rutte, and you will be hearing his name a whole lot once he takes over for Jens Stoltenberg. Because it's going to be a daily thing. We're also going into a crazy war. I think it's going to be worth it. I'm going to look into what his history is and like what kind of person this is, because he's going to be taking over for Jens Stoltenberg. That's a big deal. Jens Stoltenberg is already suggesting like, oh, let's stop putting off, let's take the restrictions off of Ukraine. They should be striking inside of Russia and striking major targets inside of Russia. So what is this guy going to be like? What is the difference going to be with Mark Rutte when he takes over? What do you guys think? By the way, Nevitz, thank you, Nevitz, and I appreciate your support. Thank you for supporting Independent. Thank you for mostly being at most of the shows. I appreciate that. Says, hey, Adam and Dex and fam, it seems to me like Putin is on an Asia tour looking for, quote, a coalition of the willing against the West. Freaky AF. Yeah, and pretty much everybody that he's been talking to is willing to do it. We kind of did that same tour, and if you looked, it's kind of funny because Barack, our former prez, who a lot of people think is still pulling strings, he actually did a very similar tour with all of our allies. Julie Pilkerton, what is going on? And thank you so much. Thank you. Julie, you can always write a message there. Thank you so much for your support. And then Andrew Golden says, better learn to pickle and smoke food. Men serve infantry, women mend. Well, and by the way, I do think that there's a lot of places, there's a lot of things that, like what Sam Brown said, that him and I believe it's his wife, Amy, they both volunteered. Like if they want to volunteer, in that article, it actually points out, this isn't something I'm pointing out. They pointed out that some of the comments by the people that are for this say, oh, well, there's lots of office positions. There's lots of tech jobs. There's a lot of these kind of jobs. But wouldn't that be admitting that why are you even pointing out that there's office jobs? Like, what are they, what do you call it? Are they going to be, are they going to be office assistants or something? Like, why would they even point that out? Like, oh, well, there's plenty of jobs that are, you don't have to be fighting. Well, why can't they fight? In your view, they're supposed to be exactly the same. So I don't know. I think it's kind of ironic that they say there's no difference, but then point out like, oh, don't worry. There's lots of jobs that don't require fighting. Well, what do you mean? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. By the way, drop an M in the chat for your great mods. Again, thank them for being awesome and keeping it positive down in the chat. Make sure not to put anybody else down. Don't put other people's views down. Again, this should be a place where we can all have unique thoughts in our heads. It's getting really, really crazy with the division, and I'm pretty sick of it. I'm sure you guys are too. I think it takes really seeing what they're doing. I've been debating doing like a video on pointing out what the algorithms are doing to us, but I wonder if it will be, a platform exclusive somewhere else, because it's crazy how much stuff is suggested to everybody that is pointing out, young versus old, this color versus that color, this religion versus that religion. It's like all they're showing us is stuff that not only is this versus that, but it's infuriating. It's stuff that obviously would make most people pissed off. It's like, what are they trying to do? That maybe that video was the general thought of those people, right? But why is it going to the very top of the crop? Like, you can't get any kind of messaging out there, but when they want something out, they'll make sure that it gets to everybody. All right, and then Dex, do you want to talk about NATO targets AI, robots, and space tech in a $1.1 billion fund?
Yeah, so they created this $1.1 billion fund. They announced that they were going to start it back in the summer of 2022. They unveiled the fund. That was right after Russia invaded UKR, and they were promising to invest in technologies. But now the fund is obviously there, the first tranche of the companies awarding the fund, and they're planning to invest it heavily in specifically a Fractal AI, a London-based computer chip maker aiming to make large language models like those powered by ChatGPT run faster, as well as Germany's ARX Robotics, which designs unmanned robots with functions ranging from heavy lifting to surveillance. The other two startups were British manufacturers Icomat, which makes lighter materials for vehicles, and Spaceforge, a Welsh company that harnesses the conditions of space, such as microgravity and vacuum conditions, to build semiconductors in orbit. Now, all those things at the surface are what those companies do, but what they're ultimately investing in is probably something much more specific within those companies, especially when you think about AI, when you think about robotics, when you think about materials for vehicles, and they're not really probably worried about EVs here. They're talking military vehicles. But what are the things that NATO can use in the upcoming conflict? And that's where some of this first tranche of the 1.1 billion they raised is going. So if that gives you an eye into what's important for NATO's future, at least what they think, it's space, AI, and robots.
Which is kind of odd if you ask me, but let's try something a little bit different here. I don't know how many of you are over on Twitter, but if you want to hop over to Twitter in a second here, I will be doing a poll on one of the next stories. So get your Twitter out if you have it, or your X. Again, if you don't have an X account, then you should definitely try it at least once. There's a lot of really great stuff over there. You don't have to love Elon to have X. We're going to try doing some interactive stuff during the show. So make sure if you haven't had one and you don't have any problems against having one, try to get one just so you can participate in it. All right. And then again, we are actually live there as well. So make sure to go check that out. All right. And before we move on, make sure to go check out Inergy if you want our recommendation on a solar generator. If you don't know why you should get a solar generator, it's pretty simple. The reason most people have is that you don't require gas and you have unlimited power from the sun. Now, as far as the systems go, Inergy makes one of the best solar generators on the market, is one of the toughest. It is one of the best built. It is why the U.S. Army just gave it the STTR Phase 2 contract. They are actually going to be shipping out to the Army here very soon. So go over to marfugglenews.com/energy. Again, it's expandable. So you can actually, just like Lego bricks, add on more batteries. You can expand it up to 96, which is insane, in stacks of 5. And then, of course, you can also add mods. So just like the batteries, you can actually add these bricks in that change the features or add features. It's a very, very cool system. It is, again, water resistant. It is dust resistant. It has a steel reinforced frame. It has battery heaters. Each battery has a built-in heater for extreme colds, temperatures. And then, of course, it has a 1,500-pound latch system. So the Flex Tactical is definitely my best recommendation for this. And it is something that is going to come in handy whether it's an emergency or whether you're just going camping. Like, this thing is useful all the time. I use it on regular days. I've used it while I've done construction jobs. I've been able to charge my tools, run things. I've used it for camping, using it for playing Xbox at a campsite. Like, there's been a lot of fun things we've done with this. So again, go check it out, marfugglenews.com/energy, INERGY. I would say the only downside is the wait time. So get your name on one fast if you can, especially if you believe you're going to need one. Definitely would get your name on it quick. marfugglenews.com/energy, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. All right, and then Russia and China find payment workarounds as U.S. sanction net widens. Dex, do you want to cover this one?
Yeah, sure. So as you guys are probably well aware, we've been talking quite a bit how without China, Russia really has no funding. They've got a little bit that they can do with the rubles with other countries, but the significant amount of the monetary exchange they've been able to get and work around sanctions has been China, and whether it's selling oil or other things. So as the recent clampdown of new sanctions, specifically ones that went against the only Russian bank branch in China, happened, it now made things more difficult for that to for Russia and China to be able to transact. Well, they now have found, again, more workarounds, and they continue to. And more specifically, they're saying that when Putin made the visit to with Xi a while back, they specifically authorized banks that set up in border regions, which allow Russian firms to open non-resident accounts with Chinese banks. So that step has become very important for them to be able to funnel money in and out and trade between the two countries, even though the one that's now being sanctioned by the U.S. was blocking that. So the workaround, which involves smaller regional banks, but it can, for the time being, fly below the U.S. sanctions radar. And it shows how both Moscow and Beijing are having to take increasingly complex steps to ensure, bilateral payments. But I think what really it means is sanctions don't really work. All it does is they find another way to achieve the goal they need to achieve, which is shuffling money, whether they got to load a plane up with gold and fly it over and drop it off and say, here's our payment for the year, or in this case, let's get a whole lot of smaller banks that can stay underneath thresholds that won't get stopped from being able to transact, and we'll let them do a whole bunch of microtransactions or micro at the level of a country, and get it and sneak it through, so to speak. So the big picture here is sanctions aren't working, and China is the one who is propping up Russia. End of story.
Yeah, it as far as the sanctions, everybody's making jokes right now over on X that as far as these guys are the most sanctioned people in the world and they're having a blast. Meanwhile, all of the allied countries are, failing. Economies are going belly up. And I'm not saying that. That's just, if you go look, I mean, it was trending. People love these videos over on X of Putin and Kim Jong-un doing joyrides. Meanwhile, economies are in hyperinflation are happening in European places, and South American countries and all sorts of places are going belly up. Meanwhile, these guys are having fun when they are two of the most sanctioned countries in the world. So this is also a bad sign too, because it makes permanent changes that even if everything went back to normal, now everybody is getting these workarounds done. And then UN says lawlessness in Gaza impedes aid via Kerem Shalom despite Israel's military pause. Dex, I'm actually going to have you cover this one too, and I'll take the next. I'm gonna load up X here real quick.
Not a problem. So what's going on here with the strip is that Israel has said, hey, we will back off during the day. We will stop doing military work or our military activities during the daytime, during specific hours. And they were doing that specifically, what they're calling a daily pause in its attacks. It goes from 0500 GMT to 1600 GMT. And they're going to do it until further notice. And they were doing it to allow aid and aid workers to go in and help out during those time periods. So they would have pretty much a safe period in which they could go. Well, now the UN has come out and said, hey, we've been trying, but we can't even distribute it because when we get in there, there is so much lawlessness and panic amongst hungry people in the area that even with the military activity being on pause, it's not safe. They've tried, and they're having a hard time not only getting in, but getting in and feeling they can get in safely and distribute anything. And I think, when I listen to this story, it almost sets up, in my mind, a precursor for someone like the UN to come in and say, what we need in here is UN peacekeepers that can, patrol the streets and keep lawlessness from running rampant, so that we can perform our duties of bringing in, supplies and food and goods for the people that need it. So I don't know. We'll see if that comes about, but I kind of have a sneaking suspicion that's the setup for this. Aside from the fact that maybe they, I'm sure they are having trouble. I can only imagine what is happening on the other sides of those conflict points and barricades where you really can't get in or out. But that's the story at the moment, and the UN is weighing in. And by the way, don't kid yourself, the UN has been pretty hard against Israel, so it's not like them to take a position like this, if that makes sense, because it's not, I wouldn't say they're against or for in this position, but they've never been one to shy away from being against Israel. So
Nevitz, by the way, thank you. I just saw that you popped over on X as well. Thank you so much. Mary V, Joe Saul at Saul Real Good. Nice to see you too. Kathy Only. By the way, over there, I think will be a great place too if anything goes down before our Prez Day. Jason Link, thank you for following me. Again, I appreciate that as well. Cherry Pie, Analia Smith, thank you. And thanks for mentioning me. BD Carmen, Robert, Slava Ukraini. Let's see. Oh, that's a great comment. Equal rights means equal in all things. So welcome to equal rights. Did anyone ever hear Cleopatra? Women can definitely fight. Oh, I agree women can fight. There's no doubt about that. But is it required? It's forced. That's the other thing. This is a forced thing. Women volunteer to be in the military all the time. I guess, is it old school to think that women shouldn't be required to if men are? Besides the other arguments that are going on with men and women and this and that, should there be, if you have the same positive benefits as, if both sexes have both positive benefits, then should they have the same negative benefits? I don't know. I think they've made it into a conservative left liberal thing, but I think it's a topic that they shouldn't even have politics related to, and it should just be kind of, take a general consensus of what people think. Don't connect it to a politics thing. It's a human thing. All right, and then huge rare earth discovery is a game changer in America's trade war with China. So first of all, I've talked about how Ukraine, Lindsey Graham just popped out and said that Ukraine has $10 to $12 trillion worth of some sort of minerals in it. And of course that kind of tells the truth, like, oh, so there's a lot of money and resources. And he says, oh, we don't want Russia to get all of that money. We don't want Russia to have all of that. If Russia gets their hands on that, we're screwed. I mean, that is kind of crazy. If Russia did have all of Ukraine, and if there truly is $12 trillion worth of money there, that would definitely make a huge difference in Russia. But it makes a whole lot of sense why there's this big war. And for the last 2 years, people have been wondering, like, why are we doing this? Why are we sticking our neck out for a country that's not even a NATO country? And why they don't even want them in NATO. I understand that they said that they will join NATO at some point, but it's like there's a reason why Ukraine wasn't in NATO in the first place. They had a lot of shady stuff going on before all this went down. So, but in this, it's like it's coming to light, all of these resources and things. It's going to change the future. At the height of the American war machine's realization that China controls nearly all of its materials, 2 new developments in Europe now suggest that the West has a fighting chance to secure critical metals for the future. A major discovery in Norway and a potentially game-changing acquisition in Greenland. Dex, can I ask, was Greenland the place that T-Man, our former president, tried to buy?
Yes.
Wasn't that the one he talked about? Now,
that's correct.
Did they take him seriously, or did they said he couldn't do that, right? What if it comes out?
I don't remember the outcome. I mean, the outcome was obviously didn't happen, but it's been discussed before, but yes.
What if it comes out that there's like $90 gazillion underneath Greenland, and maybe T-Man was right? In mid-June, Norwegian mining company Rare Earths Norway unveiled one of the largest deposits of rare earth elements in Europe in the Fen carbonate complex in the country's south. The discovery followed a vote in Norwegian parliament that paved the way for offshore deep-sea mining of rare minerals in the country's remote northern waters. Fortune magazine reported, making this the first country in Europe to allow such a seabed mining activities. Now, one thing I have a question about those mineral activities. Is that like fracking? Like, are we going to see all sorts of crazy stuff because of that kind of stuff? At the same time, Critical Metals Corporation announced an acquisition deal for what it believes is the largest critical metals deposit in the world in Greenland. It says that the Critical Metals Corporation signed an agreement to acquire controlling interest in Greenland's Tan Breeze project, which it says is the largest rare earth deposit in the world. Once operational, CRML, that's a lot easier, expects its supply to Europe and North America. And on June 18th, the company announced it had completed its initial investment with the Tan Breeze acquisition, lending more confidence to the deal and further de-risking the transaction. It says Tan Breeze is said to have over 28 million tons of total rare earth oxides, the company estimates internally, and nearly 30% of that is the most coveted heavy rare earth minerals. Giving the success of MP Minerals, a $2.2 billion market cap issuer that has a known resource for just under 3 million tons, that is almost entirely light rare earth elements. CRML could be set for a significant valuation re-rate. So the company's about to explode, right? And of course, rare earth metals are used in our everyday electronics, but without them, there will be no clean energy transition. And the U.S. will find itself at a weapons disadvantage, a fearful thought for a time of geopolitical upheaval spreading across Europe and the Middle East. So it's going to be, as far as going all electric and all of this clean transition that we're going to do, we can't do it without these kinds of things. So it does make me wonder about what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on in the Antarctica, what's going on they never tell us the full truth on it. It honestly seems like it's all over something. If they're going to change from oil to something else, because maybe they don't even need to change off of oil. Maybe it's just because they've squeezed every bit out of that. They've screwed it up by corruption. They have to collapse that so then they can switch over to this with new rules, new restrictions, and, I don't know, enslave the world with the new system, right? It's a lot easier to enslave people if they can't just store gas and you can just remotely hack and stop somebody's car. This is what I fear in the future, that everything electronic, everything is digital. Then that means if there are bad overlords or, there's more Adolfs out there, then they're going to be able to remotely do all of the evil things that they used to have to actually come and get you to do. It's terrifying. And with Russia and NATO constantly dipping their toes over their respective red lines on Ukraine, Russia making flanking movements in northern Africa, which I've talked about, it's going to be the breadbasket of the world, they say, and the Israel-Hamas conflict causing shifting global alliances and calculations. Rare earth metals draw a line in the sand in the next global conflict. This is also talking about World War III, mind you. Saudi Arabia, for the first time, they're in 50 years, they're not renewing their contract, their deal with us. The U.S. and Saudi Arabia are not on good terms. Saudi Arabia wasn't even answering our phone calls right before the end of that deal expired. At the same time, they're rolling out red carpets for Xi. They're rolling out red carpets for Vlad. Things are about to change massively. And most people in the world are distracted by whatever is going on Netflix or this or that, or on TikTok. But this is scary stuff. This is the real change. They're about to change everything over to this. So this massive discovery could be, I don't know if this is going to help divide up the world powers and give us a footing against China. But right now, China controls a ton of the same kind of materials. So could hold a lot of power. It's also probably why we're going to see Africa is going to have we're going to see wars in Africa, more than what they already have. Obviously, they have their regional and local wars going on all the time, but we're going to see massive wars on the African continent. And then Elon Musk claims 2 homicidal maniacs have tried to take him out. Compares himself to John Lennon. Dex, do you want to talk about what happened here and how did this all go down?
Yeah, sure thing. And I threw another article real quick if you want to grab it. It's in Up Next.
Okay, I'm grabbing it.
Pull that up, and I'll talk about the the comparison to Lennon real quick. But guys, sit tight because this next one's a doozy. I just found this. So, but look, Elon is claiming that some people have been trying to take him out, and he was asked about his safety and security, and he goes, I mean, it's getting a little crazy these days, Musk said. The probability that a homicidal maniac will try to take you out is proportionate to how many homicidal maniacs hear your name. They hear my name a lot. So okay, I'm on the list, as he chuckled. But then he went on to actually say, and, specifically there was 2 incidences that somebody had actually was, I guess, apparently trying to take him out. He revealed actually did have 2 maniacs in the last roughly 7 months come to aspirationally try to take him out. And a bunch of other people, not just him. And he said, and there wasn't like an actual issue that they articulated. They were just in the homicidal maniac career, as he so eloquently put this, because he's so good with words there. But anyway, that's the story. He then later compared himself to Lennon, as you all probably know, because you're of the age, who was taken out by a superfan, Mark David Chapman, back in 1980. I think Mark David got upset when Lennon said something along the lines of that the Beatles were bigger than Jesus. And that really upset him. So he went from superfan to I'm going to take out Lennon, which he did. So anyway, Musk went on to say, I will endeavor to stay alive. So that's the story.
Now, of course, here, we're going to do a quick poll here in 2 seconds, and it's going to be at the very end here. So thank you guys for popping over to X. Taking our extra time, Boeing delays Starliner's return to Earth amid thruster issues. By the way, now people are pointing out, they believe, I see a lot of comments, and in fact, a few big names have been posting talking about how they think that they are secretly trying to take down the whole airline industry. This is what we've seen since the beginning. When the first whistleblower passed, it was one thing, then it was the second, and it was all these problems. It was doors falling off, all of this. it seems to me like they are legitimately destroying Boeing's entire reputation, which in turn it is the largest manufacturer of planes, or at least the most widely known name. And now its name is being dragged through the mud after decades and decades, my entire lifetime of having a respected name, especially here in Washington where they're located. And everybody who lives here knows somebody who's worked there or knows somebody who did, right? Or somebody who was related to somebody that did. But why is it all happening? Well, there's just one issue after another, after another, after another. And you see Josh Hawley in the Congress basically yelling at the CEO saying, hey, you got $33 million to run this company. And, what's going on? What are you guys doing? And the guy from Boeing is saying, oh, we're proud of everything that we're doing and every decision we've made. And Josh Hawley even said, like, you have whistleblowers that are afraid for their lives, basically implying that they're taking people out, which it's super out front and in the open. I think this is all a play. Like, something is going on here. Here's my question to you. What is the angle on that? What is the angle on why they would be doing this? You can also respond. I had a tweet earlier talking about that. You can respond to that while you're over there, but that's not what I was letting you guys know about over there. But what is the deal with that? What do you guys think the angle is? Why would they want to destroy it? And I mean, in a global sense, in the next 30 years, is it part of 2030 stuff? Like, why would they do this? Is it so is there monetary benefit somehow? Where's the angle? I don't understand it. But taking our extra time, everything about Boeing is like, oh, we're a bunch of idiots. That's how they make them look. And they're taking extra time to the return to Earth amid thruster issues. Dex, you made a funny not an observation, but more like a hypothetical. It's like, who would they want to have save them?
Yeah, exactly. They have 45 days total time, and the clock's a ticking. So I think they're going to be coming back now on the 26th. Last time we said it was the 22nd. It just keeps getting delayed and delayed. I don't even remember what day they went up, but we need to count down the days now, because that 45-day time clock they have is how much time the actual spacecraft can stay docked there. After that, it has to undock because it will not have enough fuel, supplies, support, or anything to stay any longer. So then the question comes, if that day does happen to come upon them and they haven't fixed their problems, what happens next? Do they jettison that capsule and send it back down to burn up, or do they shoot it off into space, or do they just leave it up there in orbit? But then who comes to the rescue? And if you're Boeing, would you want Elon to rescue you, or would you want the Russians to rescue you? Because the only two that are flying up there and docking right now are Elon and the Suez. So,
well, I don't know what the heck is going on there, but funny enough, something's, yeah, that's so funny. I'm like literally representing. Something is like majorly going wrong with X right now. I don't know what, maybe it's my account. What's funny is I posted that Josh Hawley thing and then it's like it went out. Okay. It keeps telling me to let's give it another shot. Well, okay, let's give it another shot. Let's do it. It will not let me do it on my phone or on this. I know they're light staff because they fired half their people, but dang. I'm hoping that does work out. Like, honestly, if everything, especially when it gets closer to the day where we all pick our prez, it's going to be pretty bad. So make sure to, again, follow us on all of our platforms. Go over to marfooglenews.com. Again, you can find everybody everywhere that we're live right now, including Rumble, including X, including on DLive. We've got a lot of really great people over on DLive too. Again, thank you for the folks that have continued to stay on DLive. No matter what goes down, you guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you, Kimbria. Thank you, J-Girl. That's me. And then thank you, everybody else. So there's a poll that I wanted to do, and it will not let me do it. But if you can, in fact, I'll pull up a previous tweet here. Make sure to go check out Jace Medical while you're at it. If you don't have any medications bagged up. By the way, I didn't have antibiotics. I actually have to go get some because I stepped on a piece of glass, and it has made my life hell for the last 4 days. My foot is still messed up, and it's because I tried to actually clean it out myself, and I took tweezers and a blade and basically got most of the glass out, but there's a piece up in it. And I tried to clean it the best I could, and it didn't do that good of a job. So now I have to go get antibiotics. It's this is why I recommend stuff like this. I've had backup medications in the past. I actually at one point went through a different place. It was super complicated 4 or 5 years ago to do this. Even one time before I went on a trip, I had to go to an actual doctor and try to get antibiotics and stuff for a trip. And this makes it so freaking easy. If you haven't checked out Jace, go check it out. You can get not only the Jace case, which has emergency antibiotics in it, but you can also get something called Jace Daily. Now, this is a bigger thing. You can actually get a year supply of some of your regular medications. And that way, if the pharmacies go down, if there's a hack, if the power grid goes down, if anything happens, you'll know that your important medications you have at least a year of. And of course, after you get the initial thing of a year, then it comes by the month, and then you rotate that into your normal prescription. So you'll always have a year of non-expired medication. Now, it depends on what kind of medication, obviously, but I would highly recommend this, especially if you're a caregiver. If this is, think about other folks that may have to take something every single day. So go check it out for yourself. You have to learn more. You'll get a board-certified doctor. It's a telehealth appointment. It's very easy. It helps us out, and of course, it is going to definitely come in handy at some point. So again, make sure to utilize that and use that code MARF. All right, so head over to X if you want. Please just tag me and tell me. Here's the question that I want you guys to go over. What do you guys think is the timeline for when the U.S. gets involved in the next war? You can tag at Marfoogle. It's very easy, at Marfoogle. And it doesn't. And again, if you don't believe a war is going to happen, let me know. But when specifically the U.S. will be involved in its next major war. That was what I was going to do. But again, just tag me in it, and we'll show it tomorrow on tomorrow's show. So again, we'll try to do this more often. So then every day, the next day, we'll see the results of whichever poll. And I'm going to try to do some stuff during the show, so you'll actually be able to live input into the show other than chat, and we'll be actually able to show it on screen. So very, very fun, and I hope you guys have some great input there over on X. Thank you, Nevitz, and other folks that have already popped up. I can see people heading over to X and saying hi over there. So thank you guys. Dex, thank you so much for your service today. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Much love. Great job, brother.
And by the way, yeah, I've had issues for 3 or 4 hours. So, Dex, if you can, just confirm, is your X working fine?
Others in chat said they were having problems too. So
okay, so maybe it's not just me. Well, great. I guess the first time we do it, it doesn't work at all. Is that not just typical? All right. Well, thank you guys, and I love you. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. Make sure to thank your mods, dropping them in the chat. Again, thank you, Andrew Golden. Thank you, Nevitz. Thank you, Carlton Sutton. Again, thank you for your support. Thank you, Stephen McMahon. Says, off to the salt mine. Love y'all. Everybody stay safe. And then, is this time ascension? Andrew Golden. Time to live a little, full send. Hey, Andrew Golden, thank you for your support tonight. And again, very, very appreciated. Thank you for supporting Independent. We'll see you guys tomorrow. So be here around 7 o'clock tomorrow. Have a good night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.